Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, and welcome to a very gloomy day downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan, where we're finally driving something that's relatively cheap. This is the 2025 Subaru Impreza RS, and this was a completely new generation of Impreza for the 2024 model year, the 6th generation. And for 2025, it's unchanged, but I never drove the one that we had last year, so now is my chance to get my impressions in on this so-called RS. Now, this is the top trim of the Impreza, which for the 6th generation is now only a hatchback and only a CVT, and that does carry to this top RS trim that Subaru is kind of marketing as the sporty trim. Even though the WRX exists, that's now kind of its own model off to the side. It's no longer an Impreza WRX, so this is, as I've said 3 times now, the top trim. So unlike the base model Impreza that only has 152 horsepower from its 2-liter flat 4, this has a 2.5, and the bells are going off celebrating the 182 horsepower that we have in this Impreza RS model. So you get 30 more horsepower, but unfortunately you are stuck with a CVT, and that's kind of where it ends. It's got different wheels, it's got different interior bits, but this was, I think, kind of a marketing car. You know, they say that it kind of pays tribute to the late 90s and early 2000s 2.5 RS models, which sure, it shares a name with them. And actually, it has a little bit more power. Those cars back then only made 165 horsepower, but they weighed about 400 pounds less, and they had a proper 5-speed manual transmission. So I don't know that this car is the proper tribute, but I figured if it's not a sporty car, maybe it's good at commuting. So we're downtown right now. We're going to reset the trip odometer when we get in and see what kind of fuel economy this can get in a real downtown style commute. Now, the EPA rates this at 29 mpg combined, and that I think is okay, because remember, the Impreza is standard all-wheel drive, and it's one of the only hatchbacks in its segment that comes with all-wheel drive. The Mazda 3 does, but it's not standard on that car. You have to pay extra. This is standard for your $26,000 entry into the Impreza line. The RS starts at $28,000. This one, as spec today, is 32 grand. So I'm thinking that this will do the cheap car thing pretty well. And if you live somewhere like here where it snows, sometimes it's nice to have all-wheel drive. Personally, I would just buy a Honda Civic and put snow tires on it, but this is still an option. So let's poke around it. Let's show you what it looks like inside and out, and then we'll jump in and see if we can match the EPA's estimated 29 mpg combined. This is rated, I believe, 26 city and 33 highway. So all in all, it's not too bad for being an all-wheel drive 3,200 pound car. As I said, every 6th gen Impreza is now a hatchback. They killed the sedan. So if you want a sedan Impreza, you have to buy the WRX. This has this dealer accessory trunk mat thing, and in a bit of a strange fashion, we have a jack, a screwdriver, a tow hook, a tool to take the wheel off, but no spare. So I don't know what the logic is behind this. I suppose maybe Subaru will sell you a dealer accessory spare if you would like, but you get the toolkit as standard. Thank you so much. What do we have here? Sounds like a Honda. It is. That's good. Thank you so much. Okay. It's always something when you're filming downtown. Little privacy shade back here as well. We're going to leave that because we don't have anything to be private about. I love a good non-power liftgate, especially in a car like this. You just don't need it. Let's take a look at our Boxer, our 2.5-liter Boxer 4-cylinder. With 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. For your 32 grand, you don't get hood struts, but you do get a very easy-to-use prop rod. And this looks like any other Boxer 4-cylinder I've ever seen. There you go. It's 2.5 liters. No engine covers, just a pure engine. Hood's pretty light, so the lack of hood struts is not that big of a deal. And I can't give this car too much grief because it is only $32,000, so that's okay. And the reason it's $32,000 is because this one has the one singular equipment group that you can option onto the car, which gets you this power moonroof, this power driver seat, and this Harman Kardon sound system. So It's a couple grand to fit that, and of course we'll have the entire spec in the description for you guys. But actually the main reason I like this car is because it's red. I think this looks quite nice in its pure red exterior, and also we have some red trimmed cloth seats inside. So I think the look of this car is actually right. It's just everything else, the powertrain and such, I don't know that it really fits the RS name. I think the 6th gen Impreza as a car is quite attractive, and I like that Subaru is still making something that isn't a lifted SUV crossover thing. There is a version of this that is a lifted crossover thing. It's called the Crosstrek. And while it's not that much more expensive, the Impreza is a little weird. It kind of sits in a weird spot. So I'm trying to understand the ethos of this car today. For tires, we have this terrible Yokohama AWD S34 that has no grip in the rain whatsoever. I had a sketchy moment on an entrance ramp today on the way here, so we're going to take it pretty easy. This is a 225/40 R18. Obviously, tires are very easy to switch out, so not that big of a deal. And I like the wheels that they've put on this too. Backseat room is quite good here, and your, I guess, second glimpse at this point at this cloth interior with the red trim. This is your only interior choice with the Impreza RS. No matter what exterior color you get, you have to have this with the red trim. I like kind of the mix of cloth in here, the mix of materials. Got a fold down armrest with 2 cup holders. You've got a USB-C and a USB-A port, so a little bit of variety there. 1 seat back pocket in the passenger seat. Behind the driver's seat gets nothing. But materials aside, the best thing about this back seat is the fact that I fit in it comfortably. Sat behind my driving position at 5'11". I've got plenty of room. I mean, almost Honda Civic levels of room back here. You can see in front of my knees there, and I've got enough headroom as well in the back. Door panels aren't really anything special, but you do actually get some padding back here with some leather for your elbows. You can see up front, we have a power driver's seat. As stated earlier in our option package, the passenger seat is manual no matter what, but we do have some nice sport pedals. These always remind me of my Lexus IS 300 that has a very similar look. And actually, they're quite, I was going to say your feet would slip, but they're actually quite grippy. My feet are soaking wet right now, and they're not slipping off those pedals at all. So one sporty thing about this car, grippy pedals. Up front, we have a red stitched leather-wrapped steering wheel with paddle shifters to simulate an 8-speed with this CVT. And we have a special gauge cluster. Now, I like this because it says RS on it. It's trimmed in red, but I mainly like it because it's real. We have real gauges. And, oh, listen to this thing. The rev limiter is actually kind of cool sounding. It's like all bark and no bite, this car. Is that what they say? I think so. We have wireless Apple CarPlay on this massive vertical infotainment screen. You guys know how I feel about this. Not the biggest fan of it. It lags pretty bad, and I don't think it looks that great either. But what I like about it is that Subaru does still leave us some physical controls. So we have a volume knob, we have physical temperature controls here. We have a tune knob for the passenger if they want to switch songs and things. Both of our defrosts, our hazard switch, our trip reset over here. That's all physical. What I don't like is some of the climate functions that do exist in the infotainment, like the recirc and things. You do have to pull this menu up and take your eyes off the road to adjust that. So, you know, you kind of win some and lose some with this interior. I think otherwise ergonomically it's laid out quite well. We've got 2 heated seat settings. I think Subaru's been using these same switches for at least a decade, but you know what? They're functional. They work well. I've got no problem with them. Height adjusters for our cup holders. If you want to raise and lower, if you have a short mug or something, you can do that. 12-volt outlet. We have a massive center console. It can fit lots of things in here, but there's no little bit of like grippy trim or anything, so maybe something you'd want to add. We've got a wireless charger here in front of the shifter, and otherwise, I think this is just a fine interior. I don't think it's fantastic, but it gets the job done. What's a little bit puzzling is all of the blank switches. You've got one here, and one here. Now, as I've said, I think this will be the 4th or 5th time. This is the top trim, so why am I missing switches? I don't know, but the auto stop start is on the screen. They could have put that here. I guess it's not buried. You can just go like that and get rid of it, but we'll leave it on for the sake of today's video. Honda Accord alarm is going off again, but that'll show off actually how pretty well insulated the cabin is here in the Impreza RS. You can switch what you have at the top of the display. I like having my temp gauges and things. And then we'll go into Waze, and we'll get this thing out of here. All right, well, before we go, let's reset our trip. Very easy to do here with this trip reset button. There we go. Okay, let's get this thing out on the road. Quickly show you the reverse camera, which is fine. You know, it gets the job done. It's clear enough. It's got leading lines. No complaints. First thing you notice in the Impreza RS is how light the steering is. Now, this is actually something that I like quite a bit. In a city car like this, I like to be able to maneuver it very easily. And the steering is light. Now, Subaru actually added a very similar, if not the exact same, steering rack that's in the WRX. I've read sources that say it's the same. I've read sources that say it's similar. So just know that we have a new steering rack in this car. And it's quite good. I like this, and I really have no complaints about the steering in any aspect. Throttle input, brake pedal feel, all nice for slow driving like this. You are not giving yourself whiplash with the throttle in this thing. Turn signals aren't the stupid ones that bounce back to you like the BRZ has. Man, speaking of the BRZ, how cool would it have been if that was the engine that they put in this? Because that makes what? That's like 220 horsepower or something? I feel like that would have been a nice sweet spot. But I really don't even know that it's the power that's disappointing. It's this thing. It's the fact that Subaru thinks they can market this as any sort of a sports hatchback when its only transmission choice is a CVT. Ooh, Honda Fit. That's all the car you ever need right there. And an OG Insight. Check that out. But this feels quite maneuverable. Easy to place the front end on this thing when you're at low speeds. I mean, at higher speeds, the steering doesn't really have much feel, but par for the course with the rest of the car here.
The barcode facing up for your business, or scan your monthly card.
Today's Sunday. There we go. Getting out of here for free. I'll let this actually very minty Mazda Protege go by. There you go. All right, we're going to take a slightly different way out of town today. We're going to go this way. Yeah, brakes feel great on this car. There goes the auto stop start. Obviously, we have no sort of hybridization in this Impreza RS, so you do hear that starter motor engaging. Ride quality is great in this. I have no complaints with the ride whatsoever. And we'll show that off up here a bit more through some of these tattered streets. Now, I don't love that the CVT is the only transmission choice in this car, but Subaru does, in my opinion, know how to tune a CVT quite well, where when you're driving around town, you don't even really notice the powertrain. Obviously, a flat 4 is never going to be the smoothest idling engine in the world because it's flat, it's imperfect. But the CVT makes up for this. And it makes it so around town, you really never hear this thing go over like 1,500 RPM. You do hear a bit of an interior rattle, which I don't know if it's, I think it's just the passenger seat belt, so we'll just get that buckled there and that'll mitigate that. Otherwise, honestly, the interior feels pretty well put together. We're doing 13 mpg so far. That's okay. It's going to be once we get out of the city that we're going to try and get this thing to match that 29. I actually don't think that rattle was the seatbelt because I still hear it, and the seatbelt is buckled. So that is a bit strange. Taking a tour through a bit more of a historic part of Ann Arbor. Figured we may as well switch it up a bit. Show you some nice fall colors on this route to complement our pure red exterior. Seat comfort is pretty good in this. Obviously, this is the optional seat. You do actually have lumbar with this as well. Now, you can't move the lumbar up and down. Impreza also got a larger fuel tank, up from 13 gallons all the way to 16, so can go quite a ways now. 16 gallons, jokes aside, that is actually a pretty good size for a car in this segment. For this starting around $26,000. NVH in this cabin, not bad. It's tough to say because these cars, these kind of compact little hatchbacks and economy cars, they're never going to be whisper quiet. Now, most of these do kind of suffer from having quite offensive NVH, but this one's really not too bad. I would say base for base, it's comparable to the 2025 and up Honda Civic, and they have made that quite a bit quieter with the facelift. And I'm actually headed to Arizona tomorrow to drive the new Nissan Sentra, which is a competitor for this car as well. So we'll have to see how that stacks up, but we're just kind of going down the list with all of these little economy cars. Man, I'm disappointed with that interior rattle because I rode around in this yesterday with the Topher and I did not hear an interior rattle. I always find it a little bit hard to coast with a CVT because they don't really do a good job of engine braking. So you can see we're accelerating right now on this downhill. And that is, I think, the most valuable part about this manual mode is you can do this manual engine braking. Otherwise, it's kind of useless. It kind of just like changes the pitch of the engine otherwise. MPG is up to 20. We are making progress here with this car. Now this has two different drive modes. It has I, which is intelligent, and S, which is sport. And the reason I'm saying sport and not sharp is because don't you have to get like a WRX to have sport sharp? All I found sport to do is just rev the engine higher, because watch, when I go now into intelligent, it drops it down to about 1,000 RPM, so it keeps it revved nice and low in an intelligent way, I suppose. I fear that the Impreza will not exist much longer because the Crosstrek is basically the same thing, but it's got cladding on it, and people love cladding and ground clearance. This could take you to a campsite with no problem. It can do gravel, it can do the stuff, it's got all-wheel drive, but if you come up to a point where you have to like climb over something, like a downed log, or I don't know, this can't do that. So that's where the Crosstrek has the advantage over the Impreza. Tell you what though, this thing is absolutely butter smooth at low speeds. It's very, very composed. All of your movements are very fluid. I mean, this car feels very natural for just like a normal car, which is kind of refreshing, to be honest. They should have just put the 2.5 in all of them. Turkeys. They could have just put the 2.5 in all of them, and then they could have just called this like the Touring or something, and put some of the nicer features in this. Oh, another Impreza. That's a base, but it is pure red, like mine. Check it out. Brake pedal nicely calibrated. You're able to do your limo stops with no problem. And there's that stop start. What I actually like about Subarus is they will show you how much fuel you've saved. Look at that. In 49, 50, 51, 52, in 53 seconds, we saved 0.0007 of a gallon of fuel. How about that? Seating position here in the Impreza RS is quite nice. I've got the seat adjusted all the way down, and visibility out of this car is quite good. Now, the one thing I don't like is that for your $32,000, you don't get an auto-dimming rear view mirror, but Subaru will sell you one as a dealer accessory, but it's something ridiculous, like $500. So I don't know that it's necessarily worth it, but at least you have the option to get one. But you do just kind of get blinded at night by other motorists. This is the dumbest no turn on red because you can very clearly see to the left, but we'll obey the rules here. And we're taking the scenic route today because why not? I had plans today that got canceled, so guess what? Extended cut of the Subaru Impreza Commute. Ooh, check out these beautiful fall leaves. And another Subaru Impreza. That's the thing, is you do actually see these cars everywhere. There's one. That's a Sport as well. Actually quite cold now. I'm going to turn this up a bit. Back to 70. This little area I discovered yesterday. It's very Colorado in the way, like that all of the houses look the way that they, I'm explaining this terribly. This little area of Ann Arbor reminds me of this little town in Colorado called Lafayette. If you're from the area, you'll know what I'm on about. It's just such a cute little area. Wow, that interior rattle is driving me nuts. Another Impreza. All right, we're about to get this thing onto the highway, currently sitting at 21.9 mpg. We'll try and improve that here some. We'll get this merged onto the highway here, which we wouldn't have done in a fast manner anyway, because these Yokos do not like gripping in the rain. Just a dreadful rattle over there. I would quite like to merge going faster than 52 though. Come on, Tesla. And once you're on the highway, it's still decently quiet here. 63 miles an hour. Car keeps itself revved under 2,000 RPM. And you've got a number of driver aids as well. This has Subaru EyeSight. I've got the lane departure warning turned off because it's very irritating, but the cruise control works well. We'll show you that once we merge onto I-94. But driving manners stay pretty consistent when you're on the highway. This is just a very easy car to live with and a very easy car to drive. There's not really anything in here that's annoying besides the interior rattle that's over there. But otherwise, this does everything pretty well for a normal car. It's totally okay. Which is why the RS badge is just, it's a little puzzling, because I like it when a hot hatch is like Jekyll and Hyde in the way, you know, it'll do normal stuff, it'll take you to work, but in an exciting manner. This just takes you to work. That's it. There's no sort of excitement here at all. There's nothing about the driving experience of this car that excites me. It can do things well, but in no way in an exciting fashion. I think Subaru was literally one manual transmission away from actually making a halfway decent little sport compact car. I don't think I would have classified it a hot compact still, but it would have been sport. MPG getting up there, 24.3. This last little highway stretch before we'll do a quick little performance section, but obviously we'll get our final MPG reading before we go and spoil it. But as we merge on here, why don't we show you what the cruise control is like. Now this has adaptive cruise, it's got steering assist, all of the stuff. And this is good because all of it's on the steering wheel. You don't have to go searching in the infotainment for anything. Toggle on your steering assist there very easily with the push of a button. And this system will let you go about 10 seconds without touching the wheel. Handles it all. Does a pretty good job staying centered, swerving a little bit. This is going longer than 10 seconds as well. There you go, keep hands on steering wheel. As we finish out this last little section of highway, why don't we test out this Harman Kardon sound system for you guys. And I know we've been getting a little tired of Survive, so I had Cobalt on here. It's now gone. Where did it go? There it is. All right, we're switching it up to Cobalt for today. Wasn't a huge surprise that this is a halfway decent sound system because some of these later Subaru Harman Kardons have been quite impressive lately. I remember in the Forester it was quite good. The last, what was it, the Outback, quite good in that as well. So no surprise, this is actually a pretty tight sound system. Like the bass and the highs are quite dialed in. I don't know that I'd say it's best in class. I think the Civic Bose slightly edges it out, but it's a good sound system. Honestly, this equipment group with the power driver's seat, the Harman Kardon, and the Moonroof, that is a box I would tick. Absolutely worth it. Worth it. Elevates this experience to actually make this feel like a higher end car. So ending out here at 28.1 mpg for our little 13-mile commute. Not bad. Very close to the 29 mpg combined that the EPA gives it. Just went up to 28.4. So I guess maybe we'll call it once we're up here. We're going to go around a couple corners, and it looks like the pavement is actually dry, so we may have some grip. All right, ending out here at this corner, about the exact same, 28 mpg flat. So let's put this into sport. Now, from a chassis perspective, when you actually have traction with these tires, the car handles quite well. It's pretty flat. There's minimal body roll, which is impressive in a couple of ways. For one, Subaru hasn't gone and spoiled this and made the ride too stiff with the RS badge, because I could have seen that happening. You know, they go for this whole sporty thing and ruin the ride. So I like that. But also, the fact that they make the ride so comfortable and are still able to kind of tune out that body roll. That is flat out. And here's the thing. This car has enough power. I'm not going to say that this is like a dangerously slow or offensively slow car. I just think the RS badge is a bit optimistic for this car in 2025. All right, this is a little greasy. See a couple little simulated gear changes there. The engine is quiet. I mean, you really don't hear much. And that's okay, because I would never want to have a loud car with the CVT. That's just, you don't want that. I think we'll show you what this is like off the line. 0 to 60 supposedly happens in just under 8 seconds, which would have been blistering in 1998. But today, not so much. But it has plenty of power to let you merge safely, and that's really all you need in a car. Let's just get it off the line right here. Why not? Auto stop start. And it just holds itself at about 5,800 RPM there as you accelerate. Okay, let's put this thing back into intelligent, and we'll wrap this one up. Do I think this is a bad car? Absolutely not. In fact, there are many things that I like about it. I like the ergonomics in here. I like the ride quality. I like the smoothness of everything. I like the way it looks on the outside. I like that you can have it in red. I think the sound system is good. I think the seats are good. It's just the way they've marketed this car. I don't think it was right. I don't know necessarily what the point of putting a 2.5 in this was when it only makes 30 more horsepower than the base car and it's only a CVT. Like I don't see the point of like spending the extra money in engineering to even make this happen. But here it is. If you want it, it's here. I would probably just go for the base Impreza because it's cheaper and it's gonna do pretty much everything this does, but it'll probably get to 60 about a second slower. And you can still get it in red, so there's that. I would just probably go for a WRX if I wanted a hot Subaru. But this car is fine. I think for 32 grand and 28,000 at an entry level, it feels pretty nice. This car doesn't feel like a punishment. It doesn't feel like a cheap Econo box. Walking up to this car or leaving the office, getting into it in the morning, whatever it may be, it's not embarrassing. I mean, it's a pretty nice car to drive, and it's all good. But man, could you guys imagine if Subaru brought back the STI hatch with this body? That would be so sick. That would be like, that would just be, we can dream. We can dream. I know Subaru has said that there is somewhat of an electrified STI thing coming soon. I hope that by electrified, they just mean hybridized, kind of like how a lot of companies are doing now, like BMW, Mercedes, Lamborghini, how they're putting like the electric motors on just for boost and not necessarily for efficiency. I don't know if Subaru's about that life, but I guess we'll see. All right, let's pull this in. We'll give you one last look at it, and that will wrap it up. Even after our performance section there, absolutely hammering on this thing, it still did 25 mpg over our entire 17-mile trip. How about that? Into park, electronic parking brake there. Lots of piano black that's already scratched up. So I guess to finally wrap this up, I think this is a great economy car, but I don't really think it's a great Impreza RS. I love the badge they've done too with the flat, the pistons on either side of the RS. I think it looks awesome. But give us a manual, give us like 200 horsepower, keep the all-wheel drive, keep everything else the same, and I think this would be a really good little sport compact option. And even as it is, it's okay, but I would probably just go for the base. So there you go. There's a little commute on the Impreza RS. We managed about 28 mpg, and it's red, and there's a moldy bagel on the ground right there. So we'll wrap up over here, but let me know if you guys have any questions on this thing, if I left anything out, but that will be it. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.